So we all know that football is America's new pastime, and according to USA Today, roughly 26.8 million people tune in every Sunday afternoon during football season to catch all of the hard-hitting action. While all the adults are grabbing snacks and drinks and getting ready to watch their favorite teams play, their kids are right there clinging right next to them and watching all the brutal hits. We also all know that kids love to emulate and follow their favorite players. But is such a dangerous sport like football something you really want your kids to emulate and partake in? ESPN states that an average of 225,000 kids play tackle football every year between the ages of 8 to 14. And while that number has declined a little bit over the recent years, it hasn't declined quite enough to actually make a real difference. Football is not a game you want your children playing because it's dangerous and the careers in it are brief and aren't as profitable as many people would actually think. The first thing people say when they try to argue whether their kid should play football or not is, oh, kids don't hit as hard as the college people do and the professionals do. This couldn't be as far from the truth as possible. Yes, the older people are bigger and they're more developed and they're more trained, but the ratio from their body size to how hard they hit is roughly the same. On average, college football hits maintain around 80 Gs per play. Youth football hits have been measured as high as 100 Gs per play. So that's roughly the same force of a 40-mile-an-hour car crash. And the kids in question, like I said, are 8 to 14 years in age. So this is at their prime of their major development. The second thing people like to argue is, oh, pursuing football is a career that can lead to college scholarships and a prosperous NFL career. While, yes, kids can get free schooling and scholarships out of it, but that's like that with any sport. They can get Division I scholarships with football, basketball, baseball. The problem with that is that only 6.5% of high school students actually get scholarship offers for football in Division I. And only 1.6% of that end up actually making it to the NFL. And while NFL salaries can be quite large for the higher end players, the minimum salary is at $450,000. With the after taxes with it, it's going to be around $250,000. The length of the average NFL career sits at around 3 years. So those who do go into the NFL, most of the time don't take advantage of those scholarships, and they leave early and they don't graduate, they don't get their degree. So that leads to them end up sacrificing their bodies to put their lives on the line for $750,000 over 3 years. And then afterwards, they're left with no degree and no scholarship money left over to go back and finish their degrees. And on average, after 5 years of being out of the NFL, 78% of former players go bankrupt. So you see the NFL isn't as lucrative as most people think, and your kids are better off in their spare time playing other sports or studying to be CEOs and engineers. And I know I'm throwing a lot of statistics at you, so I'm going to tell you a story that's going to put it into a little bit of perspective. This is Donovan Hill. In 2011, at age 13, Donovan Hill was taught to lead with his head during football tackles. This is obviously an improper tackling technique, and he was punished each time he objected to it. In that same year, 2011, Donovan Hill made a headfirst tackle in a championship game and was paralyzed from the neck down. After a lawsuit from Donovan Hill's family, one of Hill's coaches, Manny Martinez, defended the use of the headfirst technique, and Pop Warner executive director John Butler conceded that the national offices don't actually monitor whether or not the coaches take the free training that the Pop Warner office provides. And after years of fighting through surgeries due to his injuries, Donovan Hill lost his life on May 8, 2016. If you were to scour the internet, you'd find multiple stories like the one of Donovan Hill, and it seems like the potential repercussions have little to no effect on how many kids actually play football now. Teaching kids proper technique can go a long way, but we also have to remember that these aren't professionals. They're going to make mistakes more often than not. They're not going to be perfect on every play. The only true way to maintain our youth safety is one of two things. I moved to petition to only allow kids 14 or older to play tackle football. 14 and older is roughly the age of a high school freshman, and at that time is when they become a little bit more developed and can be a little bit more trained to really endure those kind of hits. The second option, which I don't find as useful, but it could end up helping a little bit, is to really force the National Pop Warner organization to really provide more training and to make it a mandatory process for the coaches that they have in place for all youth football. Obviously, the first way is really the only way to maintain safety for the young kids, but both can go a long way to help maintain the youth's health. Thank you.